Right, NOAA is presenting Tsunami, Waves of Destruction, 50 Years of Lessons Learned Today. A special Spearcast on tsunami science and impacts will be shown at that special viewing. It will be held at the Bishop Museum's Planetarium starting around 10 o'clock this morning. Regular admission prices do apply. In fact, we have the speaker of that special cast in studio this morning. We'll get to him in just a second. And because today is the 50th anniversary of the Great Alaska Earthquake and Tsunami, the earthquake triggered a tsunami that did indeed reach Hawaii. And here's the animation of that tsunami. And here to tell us more about that tsunami and the impacts here on the islands is Gerard Fryer from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. You're a busy man. You're doing that presentation later on today. And you're here this morning. For those of us who don't remember or may be too young to remember, can you talk about that 64 quake and how it impacted Hawaii?
Fortunately, the 64 quake did not impact Hawaii very much. There was significant damage in Hilo, but it was pretty much restricted to that. A restaurant got flooded, a bridge suffered minor damage. It was about $50,000 worth of damage. The warning system worked, everyone evacuated, nobody died. But that wasn't true for the mainland. The tsunami was aimed at California, and 13 people died in California, 5 in Oregon, and about 100 in Alaska.
This was a pretty widespread tsunami. What are some of the things we have learned from this major one here?
Well, the immediate consequence of that tsunami was that they created a new warning center which was set up in Alaska. That was to get warnings out fast for Alaska. But the thing that we're now developing is limiting the number of people who actually get put into a warning by doing simulations, and that's a large part of what the Spearcast is going to show.
Okay, and speaking of warnings in case we are ever under one, what are some things that people need to do prepared to get ready for that moment? Because of course, as you know, it could happen anytime. Well,
the first thing to do is to think about what you're going to do right now. When there's a tsunami warning, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? And in particular, if you have kids in school, especially if the kids are in a school which is in the evacuation zone, you must trust the school to deal with it. The school will evacuate. The last thing we want is for you to go to the school and try to get your kid out in the middle of everything that's going on.
And you mentioned earlier you're looking at the changes for issuing a warning. What are some of those changes? Because as you remember, the October 2012 one, it was later thought that maybe a warning wasn't necessary.
What we're looking at is actually our criteria for issuing a warning, that maybe they are a little bit too conservative. We will issue a warning if we think that the run-up, the height of the wave as it reaches Hawaii exceeds a meter, a little bit over 3 feet, and that Halloween tsunami did indeed exceed 3 feet, so we did everything right, and yet in retrospect the evacuation wasn't necessary. So is that 1 meter criterion correct? We're probably going to tweak it up a little bit.
Okay.
So we don't want to inconvenience people if we don't have to.
That's right. We'll keep in touch with you and see what those new criteria will be. But thanks for joining us this morning, Gerard Fryer. Very important information for people to know.